contaminated. I can't drink this.
Hi, my water's been contaminated and I can't drink it. What should I do? I should just boil the water. But aren't you going to do anything to fix it? Okay, you already told me that I just need to boil my water. Are you even real?
So that water looks fine. There must be a problem with the water distribution system and the pipes. Hey, Katie. So my water's contaminated? Oh, yeah. That sounds good. Yeah, how's yours? Mine's actually really horrible. I don't drink it. Okay, well, what are we gonna do? Well, I just drink this. It's way better than water. Yeah. This is Pepsi. It's not water. We can't live off of this. This doesn't solve anything.
Unfortunately for us all, Kendall Jenner and Pepsi can't solve all of our problems. So when we talk about sustainable community development, we need to come up with some guidelines and some criteria that we can follow to make sure that they're successful. And we have a couple ideas for those. The first of those criteria are that communities need to define the project. Communities know their needs better than engineers ever will, so they need to be in charge of decision making along the process. Now when we talk about problem definition and decision making, we run a little bit into criteria number 2, which is that a community must lead a project. In order for a community to have a sustainable project, they have to be in charge because it has to be sustainable after the NPO or the NGO leaves. All in ESCD, we talk about how we need to have autonomy in communities. But they can't be autonomous if it's sponsored by the NPO the whole time, so communities have to lead. So when a community doesn't play a part in defining a problem, or they don't play a leadership role, it's usually a smaller issue of a systemic issue, which is that engineers don't always listen to communities. For example, during the Flint water crisis, community members had alerted water quality officials for over a year that the water had been contaminated, but they didn't listen. So those who are in charge need to listen to the community.
Our third criterion is that when projects are being considered for implementation, every possible foreseeable outcome must be considered and weighed. Project designers should involve an appropriate form of risk assessment that matches the nature of the project. Project implementers should consider consequences in multiple areas of life, including human health, environmental health, economic effects, and social impacts. The risk assessment can be viewed on a local level or on a more regional and national level. Of course, the community should be involved in risk assessment. We can use the Flint Water Project as an example of a project that did not effectively include risk assessment to figure out what risks and harms that the project was introducing to the community of Flint, Michigan. When the city switched to using a local water treatment plant that hadn't been used in several decades, the State Department running it cut several corners in adding certain chemical treatments to the water. These chemical treatments included corrosion controls that helped control the erosion of old pipes in the city. Prior to switching to this water source, the pipes were fine. After the city temporarily switched to the highly corrosive water of the Flint River, things went south from there. Lead leached from the pipes and contaminated the entire city's water, expanding the entire population of Flint, Michigan to lead poisoning. Lead poisoning will have more harmful effects further down the road, but this project definitely did not succeed in maintaining that super important relationship between engineers and the community.
Oftentimes, when we talk about the community, we tend to ignore the fact that the environment is a very important part of it. We rely on the natural resources such as water, food, and energy the environment provides us every single day to survive. So it should be our responsibility to include the environment in our consideration when we're making decisions that might have impact on it. So our fourth criterion is that projects must consider the potential impacts on the environment. Potential impacts must be weighed so the leaders of the community can determine whether or not the project have more harm than good to the environment. If they determine there's significant environmental damages, that is not avoidable, they should be able to make the decision whether or not the project should take place at all, or maybe consider the alternatives of the projects. So, in the water project in Flint, Michigan, the lead contaminated water spread out throughout the whole city by outdoor water uses and disposal of wastewater. And as a result, no matter where the water goes, lead contamination will be there, and eventually it became a part of the natural environmental cycles. And to solve this problem, Flint has been receiving clean bottled water from Detroit. So this means that water is being taken from another clean watershed, and it's depriving the other community of clean water for drinking and use in the household. And in another example, the Arsenic project in West Bengal, India, a lot of extra waste was created from backwashing and from the sludge that was disposed in the open field. The sludge was containing up to 10% by weight of arsenic, and it caused surface water contamination, and it puts wildlife welfare at risk. So arsenic compounds can cause both long-term and short-term effects on individual plants and animals, such as inhibition of growth, reproduction, photosynthesis, and behavioral changes. So to sum up, the environment and the community, we have a coexisting relationship, and we depend on the environment. Environment provided resources for us. And that's why community development projects should consider the environment as part of the decision-making process and the designing process.
Additionally, when teams go in to begin a community development project, they need to ensure that the technology or the project that they're doing actually improves the situation. In many different areas, we've actually seen projects that have made the situation worse, or they've created brand new problems that the community didn't have before. For example, in a community in Kenya, the team had gone in and they had tried to do a lot of the sustainable development aspects correctly. However, they ended up creating a problem that wasn't there before. They installed these latrines, and they were actually composting latrines. So instead of having to use a new area and dig new pits every time, they were able to just pull out the biomass from the bottom of the latrine. However, the entrance to it was small, and normally it had to be a child to pull out the biomass, we'll call it, which is entirely not okay, because that was something that the children did not have to do before, and it was actually infringing upon their rights.
So in order to achieve the 5 criteria and also to successfully implement appropriate technology, engineers should incorporate some of the following mindsets in the decision-making process. First of all, engineers tend to simplify problems and believe that technology can overcome all the barriers. But we should recognize the complexity and the diversity of the community, and also recognize that the cultural barriers are also just as important as the technical barriers. Second of all, engineers tend to treat the community members as help recipients. Instead, we should consider them as citizens who are capable of making their own decisions and recognize their own needs and desires. Thirdly, engineers should also engage the community in active participation, utilizing open and transparent communication. So to sum up, the 5 criteria and the engineering mindset should assist us to build trust with the community members.
Without trust, the project will be led to disaster.
With all of this being said, we do have a few questions for you guys. First of all, do you think that communities always have to be involved in sustaining the project, or can it be sustained externally? Additionally, to what extent do you believe the environment should be considered in community development projects? Should it be a key aspect? Why or why not? Finally, should a separate set of ESCD criteria be used in dealing with domestic community development as opposed to international projects?